Falcons Chiefs Sunday Night Football. I've talked about it before. I'll say it again. I do not like my Falcons on primetime games. I am happy that we are in them because that means we're thought highly of, or somewhat highly of. Um, Now it's been a while since we've been able to be in one of those type of games, but um, yeah, Sunday Night Football playing the defending champs in our city. That was exciting. It was a good game. You know, ended obviously not on our side, but it was a good back and forth game, and I think it was a lot closer than most people would have thought. Um, so Falcons started off strong, of course. It felt like we had a lot of energy coming out, and then the momentum began to shift once our two offensive linemen went down in that first half. That was a big blow. I think you started to see them get a little more pressure, and our running game just could never get going. Um, in the midst, it didn't take very long at all for me to watch that game and see why Kansas City is so difficult to beat. First of all, they have a solid defense, but their offensive drives, the best way to describe it is surgical. Obviously, you have Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback, so that helps a ton. But they pretty much play, and they weren't always like this. Back when they had Tyreek Hill and that explosive offense, it was 1, 2 plays, touchdown. But now it is very take what you give me all the way down the field, and we're going to just take up a bunch of time. What that does is limit your possessions as the opponent. And you already know you're going up against Patrick Mahomes. That's intimidating in itself. But the room for error is so small. One, because you're playing against Patrick Mahomes. Two, because you don't get that many possessions. They take their time down the field, and they again just take up so much clock. Their time in possession was crazy. I felt like maybe in that first half the Falcons had like two. It felt like they had like 2 or 3 possessions all half. I'm sure it was more, but again, they were just taking up so much times in these surgical. They were just taking up so much time in these surgical drives, and it was tough. So that was one of the first things I noticed with playing Kansas City. And then again, we got that running game just was non-existent after our offensive lineman went down, and it wasn't until late in the game where the Falcons offense got moving again, and it was frustrating to see our defense out there getting big stop after big, I mean, huge stops. When you knew, I mean, when you're playing Patrick Mahomes, you know it's only a matter of time before they get in that rhythm and start scoring. And so when our defense is out there making stop after stop and our offense is going three and out or can't get anything going, it is just absolutely frustrating. So that was tough, but we did get going late when we absolutely had to have it. The Falcons move all the way down the field, and controversial no call here. There was a pass to Kyle Pitts. To me, it was clear pass interference. I'm not sure why that wasn't called. The defender had his back turned, never turned his head around, and he got to Kyle Pitts before the ball got to him. Clear pass interference that would have set us up at the 1st and goal. We aren't the best running team, as we can see. Well, not that night, but I think we could have gotten the end zone at that point, which changes the dynamics here, possibly walking away with the win. But it wasn't called. The Falcons chose to go for it on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal. Controversial call. Obviously, hindsight, people are saying should have kicked the field goal, blah blah blah. But I don't have a problem with that at all. And it was a gamble, but it paid off. The Falcons ended up stopping them after that and getting the ball back with another opportunity to win the football game. And this is what it all came down to. The Falcons are moving the ball. Drake London makes a big play to go downfield, and he falls just short. It was on second down, and he falls just short of the first down marker. And as a fan, again, this is why it's called Stupid Fans. I know that I am portraying my frustration here, but I foresaw this all the way. I have been a Falcons fan for my entire life. I know my team so well. I foresaw how this would end. When he didn't get that first down, when he fell just short, about a yard short, I text my friend and told him, man, he has to get that first down. He has to push through and get to the first down, because now we're in a situation where we are in striking range, but we got to get the first down before we can start thinking about, oh, all right, let's take shots to the end zone. We need a yard. And sure enough, we run it with Algier. He gets nothing. We try to run to the outside with Bijan. He loses like 4 yards on it. I don't want to overreact here. I will say it was a terrible play call. It was a terrible play call. By the time Bijan got the ball, there were so many Chiefs in the backfield. Like, it was one of the plays, as soon as you saw them run it, you knew it wasn't going to work. It was to the point where I was like, Bijan might as well have tried to flick it back to Kirk and hope for a miraculous throw or something. After that third down run, I would have much rather us go play action. They were sitting there waiting for us to try to run it, which leads me into my next point. Is Kirk Cousins healthy? We need a yard. We can't quarterback sneak. Do we feel that uncertain about his health, his Achilles, his knee, whatever it is? Are we that uncertain about it? If so, let's start implementing Penix. Penix is not a running quarterback. He is known for his passing as well, but he is mobile. I did not realize how immobile Kirk Cousins was until the season started, and really it just doubled down in this game. If he had to run for his life, he couldn't. You have to have a Tom Brady level of offensive line in order to protect that type of quarterback today. Our offensive line has no room for error, which is why I brought up that is where you started to see the shift when our 2 starting offensive linemen went out early. If he doesn't have perfect protection, on those 2 drives where we scored in that first half, Kirk Cousins looked great. He's shown that if you give him time, he's going to find a guy and we're going to move the ball down the field. The problem is that's just not the way of the NFL today. At some point, you're going to have to get out of that pocket and make a play, extend a play. Once I saw them the Chiefs didn't even try to stuff the middle. They knew Kirk Cousins wasn't going for a sneak. And so again, call me crazy, but in situations where we need some mobility, we possibly may need an extended play, someone who can create more time for themselves without just the perfect level of blocking for 18 seconds back there. I would implement Penix in those cases. Put him in for the quarterback sneak. The good thing about a quarterback sneak is everybody knows you're going to do it, but that doesn't mean you can stop it, i.e. the Philadelphia Eagles. pushed. I mean, it was less than a yard. It was inches. And the play calling, not only on that play, all night it was questionable. And up to this point in the season, it's been questionable. We were supposed to have this dynamic offense. Again, the problem with the Falcons was the quarterback. We have the weapons, and we have an elite defense. Clearly, it was just we needed somebody who could get it out there to them. Kirk, in my opinion, anybody is better than what we had last year. And no shade to Desmond Ridder, it was just the results. Kirk Cousins is a step up from that, but again, if you don't have mobility in today's NFL, you're setting yourself up for failure. And again, I just was not prepared for how immobile Kirk Cousins was. And I felt like that hurt us. That in the play calling. That has to get better. And it was frustrating because you saw it on the last drive. After that first quarter where we had the touchdown, and I think Kyle Pitts had that big play, I almost forgot Drake London and Kyle Pitts played on the team. Our number one receivers are our 3 and 4 receivers, Ray McLeod and Mooney. They're more involved in the offense than our star players. And of course, Bijan, but I mean, in the receiving core, the play calling has got to get better. When you look at the Chiefs offense, you know Rashee Rice is their number one receiver. Why? Because he gets the ball every other play. They're constantly getting him involved. Frustrating ending for the Falcons. They don't get the 4th down conversion, lose the game. Very winnable game. And that just leads us into the good, bad, and ugly. I got carried away, and as you can probably see, my frustration. The Falcons already went through the bad and the ugly. Bad, I had Kirk Cousins' immobility. Ugly was the play calling, awful play calling. The good is Falcons defense, clearly an elite defense in the NFL. I think we can go head to head with anyone. They just look great. They made big stop after big stop. They've shown it in our previous games. I'm confident in our defense, and that was the defending champs. We have the number one toughest schedule in the NFL this year. But if you have a good defense, and that defense continues to buy our offense some time, I feel like if we can get that play calling down, and we can create an identity for ourselves on offense, which is you can't have an identity if you don't have the right play calls. Like, once we get that figured out, I feel like the Falcons can be a very, very dangerous team. But obviously, we're still figuring it out. Kirk Cousins has come out and been very open about that. So more to come. And for the Chiefs, good, bad, and ugly, I think they were able to find a way to win a game. Again, this wasn't a game where the Chiefs just wowed us. It wasn't these crazy explosive plays. Their offense was very, take what you give me. We're just going to go downfield. And there's just no panic. That was another thing I noticed. Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes threw a pick, and it was almost as if he didn't care. Just ran back to the sideline. It's like, oh, it's regular. But you just know with the Chiefs, it's only a matter of time, which is what I was saying all night, man. Like, with the Falcons offense, you can't just keep asking your defense to stop this offense. You can't really do that with any team, but, you got to give us some production on the offensive side. So hopefully the Falcons take something from how that last drive was going, not how it ended, but how it was going and flowing, and we take that into the rest of the season. So yeah, that was the good for the Chiefs, just able to find a way to win it. The bad was you could tell their offense still isn't fully in sync, and they are not able to implement Travis Kelce or get him involved at all. He had another quiet game, and it's just overall as an offense, it's not the same off the charts, just scoring every drive, type of offense, similar to what we saw last year with them, but their defense was strong, and they are again this year too. So that'll be interesting to see. Do they improve over the years or throughout the year, or is it going to be kind of just have to gut it out? In the ugly, I think for them was Travis Kelce just being a non-factor, which is makes you question. You know, last year you heard those rumors of, is Kelce getting ready to retire? Is this his last year? Is it coming to an end? His brother just retired. Uh, just wondering how much is left in the tank. And to answer that, I think you kind of have to look at is from a bird's eye view. Is it a offensive play calling issue, or is it a Travis Kelce issue? And then Patrick Mahomes had he spoke on it and said, teams are making a concerted effort to take him away. They're double and triple teaming him, have guys all around him. But I don't know if that's it, because would they have not been doing that before? I mean, before Rashee Rice, Kelce was the number one go to. So that didn't really add up for me. So it's starting to look like it may be a Kelce thing. Like maybe he's overstayed his welcome. Definitely too early in the season to say for sure, but it does make you question it. This is now week 3. He's had very very little impact. And we're talking about a tight end who's going to go down as one of the best ever. So this type of drop off is peculiar. So we'll keep an eye on that. That was Falcons Chiefs.